I found a story which really is not making a lot of rounds. Christopher Eccleston, the ninth Doctor, of course, one of the favorite Doctors in the modern Doctor Who incarnations, my second favorite after David Tennant, is coming out about Hollywood problems. And of course, it's all about feminism in the culture, and it's all about the Me Too movement, where women these days are incentivized to attack men for clout. And we've seen this all over the map. Of course, the Amber Heard story is probably the most famous one, where she's, I'm abused. And it turns out she was actually the abuser in the whole situation. Now, Christopher Eccleston has a much smaller story here, but it involves something that could have very well destroyed his career just based on an accusation. And you know that people's careers do get destroyed just based on accusations at this point. There doesn't have to be evidence or anything. The women just cry foul and everybody kind of simps for them. It's exactly where we're at in our culture, and it's created a big, big problem for any men working with women. I mean, I couldn't imagine like being in a spot where I'd work with a woman alone at this point. That would be crazy, because you'd just be asking for trouble whether you did anything or not. And we'll get into the news as it pertains to Doctor Who in just a moment. My name's John Delarose. I'm the editor-in-chief of Fandom Pulse, a new pop culture website. That's fandompulse.com. I appreciate if you bookmark that. That link's in the description below. I'm also an author of science fiction and fantasy. Those book links are in the description below if you would like to support our efforts in the culture as well. I really appreciate you as a writer, and of course the people who read make it happen here. Thanks so much. So here it is. Doctor Who actor Christopher Eccleston, I can pronounce things, opens up about a faked Me Too moment which nearly ruined his career. So he gets into this. He was writing doing an interview with The Independent, and he said this. He said, I did a sex scene with an A-list actress, not Nicole Kidman, who was brilliant. And she implied in front of the crew that I was copying a feel because she didn't like me. So she went out there and she's like, Now, I'm trying to think about the logistics of this, and this is honestly a big portion of like why you shouldn't involve yourself in things like nude sex scenes anyway. I mean, like, you're asking for trouble, right? And of course, that kind of thing is just not a good look, and it's a bad thing to, of course, push that kind of sexuality that's over the top, and of course in fornication, as it were, a Christian channel, and we oppose that kind of thing. So, but what Christopher Eccleston says here is that they're engaged in like basically simulated copulation, and he, quote, copped a feel. Well, how are you even going to know, like, logistically, how are you going to know what's him copying a feel or what's part of it? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You're as the actress, she's kind of signing up for that if they're just sitting there gyrating together naked, right? Or close to naked. Absolutely crazy. So here it is. He keeps complaining about this here. He says, it's fortunate that happened to me before the Harvey Weinstein stuff came to light, so I wasn't put to the stocks for it. So he knows very well that if this happened just a little bit later, he could have had his entire career ruined just because this woman said this. And that's exactly what these women are doing in Hollywood these days. But I've never felt more betrayed by a fellow actor than I did on that day. He goes further because Christopher Eccleston, if you don't know, is very candid about the way he speaks on things. He says, I have to say to you that I would sooner have put my hands in a food blender than copped a feel of that person. Oof. It was an abuse of power what she did. I don't think that would have happened with an intimacy coordinator on set. I guess they have that these days, intimacy coordinators. It's like a glorified HR person. I could have been accused of all manner of things. That's about what passes between actors with the trust and abuse of it. And that's it. The women really do have all the power in corporate situations, in any situations when they're with a man now. If they say that you looked at them sideways or just said something that, quote, made them uncomfortable. We covered a YouTuber yesterday who was just flirting with a girl who was flirting back. And of course, she accepted gifts from him and all that. Once she decided she didn't like him, she decided to try to destroy his life and get him completely canceled. And that's just something that like a man can't really do to a woman in reverse. If a woman says she doesn't like you anymore, or if you don't like her anymore, and you go out and like talk trash about her, you come off as the aggressor. So it is an abuse of power, and that's exactly what's going on in every workplace, in every situation at this point. And it's all because of this rampant feminism that is permeating across our culture, causing major, major problems. And that led to Jodie Whittaker becoming the Doctor. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.